Right after graduating from college, I married Andrew, accompanying him from being a debt-ridden poor student to becoming a somewhat well-known lawyer in Jiangcheng. 2 years later, I gave birth to Ethan, who resembled Andrew a lot, quiet and not particularly close to me, until one morning, when I accidentally broke their cups. Andrew frowned impatiently and said, "How can you mess up something so simple?" Ethan stared at the mess on the floor, his face unusually regretful. This was a gift from Rachel to me and Dad. Suddenly, I felt exhausted. That night, I brought up divorce. Andrew didn't even look up. "Don't make a scene. I won't give you custody of the child." He seemed certain I'd compromise because of Ethan. I nodded. "Fine, I never wanted it anyway." Andrew suddenly looked up, visibly shocked, but quickly regained his usual expressionless face. "If you want a divorce, I won't stop you. But are you sure you've thought this through?" As I loaded my luggage into the car, I glanced at Ethan hiding behind the door and said calmly, "You're a lawyer. The divorce agreement you drafted leaves me no room to back out, doesn't it? I don't want any shared assets. Consider it child support for Ethan. I'll take this car." Andrew suddenly grabbed the car door, his voice unsteady. "If you're divorcing me because I took Rachel's case, it's unnecessary." I yanked the door hard, but it didn't budge. He took a deep breath, visibly frustrated. "I told you I'm a lawyer with professional ethics. I have to be responsible for my cases." Even now, he still believes the problem lies with me. I met his gaze and demanded, "If you're truly as upright as you claim, why did you wait until I discovered it to tell me? And why, after I found out, did you accuse me of barging into your study?" "I was just cleaning as usual and happened to see it by accident." Over the years, the case files scattered on his desk were never a secret, but that time. He flew into a rage, berating me for disrespecting him. Seeing his silence, I pressed on, "Ask yourself, do you really have no ulterior motives at all?" He froze for a moment but quickly recovered. "I wasn't feeling well that day, so I was harsh with you, but I apologized later." Apologized? That day. He unleashed his fury on me. My son, Ethan, stood at the door, coldly observing everything in the study. "Mom, you don't respect Dad's privacy. Teacher Nwonuo would never do that." The next morning, before leaving with Ethan, he tossed me a line, "I'll come back early tonight." That was his so-called apology. The breakfast I prepared for them sat untouched on the silent dining table, neither father nor son taking a single bite. Seeing his bewildered expression, I couldn't help but scoff. "For the past 2 years, I've been the one driving Ethan to school and attending every parent-teacher event. You've never shown up, let alone his extracurricular activities. So tell me, why are you suddenly so eager to play chauffeur now?" The yard fell dead silent. I had loved, planted, or boxed away. It was once my everything. But people grow weary, and hearts can die. The eloquent lawyer who could argue circles around anyone in court was now utterly speechless. Recording these trivial matters felt like picking at grains of sand. I closed my eyes, overwhelmed by indescribable exhaustion. Each incident was just a grain of sand, but when the ground is littered with them, anyone would stumble. This bowl of half-cooked rice, I forced down again and again, until I finally spat it out. The car slowly pulled out of the gate. No Mom, not even a glance, and I no longer needed to look back, even though I'd endured countless injections to keep her safe, held her through sleepless nights to soothe her, and ignored my own postpartum depression for her sake. Andrew and I have been married for 8 years, with our daughter Musha now 6 years old. It's hard to believe that our once envied family of 3 has come to this point. All of this started 6 months ago when he took on a divorce case. The client was his college sweetheart, Rachel. Back then, he was the upright and diligent poor scholar of the law school, while Rachel was the belle of the liberal arts college who pursued him relentlessly. They walked side by side under the phoenix trees on campus, living the kind of youthful romance everyone admired. Meanwhile, my unspoken affection for him felt like a joke. Later, I heard Rachel's parents disapproved of his humble background and caused a scene at the law school. Perhaps things that seem too perfect are destined to end badly. They eventually drifted apart. Back then, to ease my melancholy, I often played the piano in the music room. One day, I discovered Andrew sitting in the adjacent classroom. He said he loved my playing, and I was overjoyed, even if it was just the music he liked. Time passed steadily, and I treasured every moment alone with him, though I never dared to reveal my feelings, afraid he might avoid me if he knew. I liked him cautiously, growing timid because of my unrequited love. I had the courage to drink and chat with him, even playing matchmaker to help him forget Rachel. But I never had the courage to tell him I loved him. It wasn't until our senior year, when I was walking back alone from off campus and got cornered by a group of thugs in an alley, that he shielded me. The blows from their clubs landed mercilessly on him. By the time campus security found us, his blood had soaked through his usually crisp white short-sleeved shirt, his lean arms still tightly wrapped around me. Before losing consciousness, he whispered, "Don't be afraid, I'll protect you." That night in the hospital felt endless. I leaned close to his ear and poured out my feelings for him in detail, and he said yes. We got together and eventually walked into the halls of marriage, but I never expected that 8 years later, Rachel would reappear in our lives, and what's more, she would become the homeroom teacher of my son or Ethan. This matter or value was known to me first. Rachel, upon seeing the wooden box for the first time, immediately went through the student records or directly called, and the girl on the other end choked up, saying no wonder there's a child of an old friend. It turns out to be the child of an old friend. That's why the value insisted on picking up and dropping off Ethan after school started. It wasn't out of guilt toward the child at all, but because he wanted to see that person every day. If it weren't for Ethan slipping up, I would still be in the dark, every day. I worried that this father and son would go hungry without breakfast, or that eating burgers all the time would be unhealthy. Only to find out they rushed to another woman's house every morning to share a meal. Once upon a time, I too had dreamed of 3 people sharing 4 seasons. But the present is no longer the future I once imagined. I got a new phone and bought a ticket to Country F this weekend. A painter I really like is holding an exhibition there. For the sake of those 2, I hadn't traveled alone since getting married. Trips with the 3 of us often left me even more exhausted. I was the one arranging everything, while they only complained about the slow pace, saying things like, "Traveling with you is more tiring than going to work. What's so great about temples? You actually believe in this guardian of marital bonds thing." I wanted to go to the botanical garden. "Mom, why isn't this arranged?" Mom never lets me eat anything. I hate Mom the most. Looking back now, the answers were all in the details. This time, I traveled for nearly 2 months, covering almost all of Country F, the evening breeze by the Seine, the poetry of the Tuileries, the gentle twilight of Montmartre, the glorious history housed in the Louvre. In lively street corners, the sound of violins scattered by the wind felt like a slow, cinematic transition. Before, mountains and rivers were all about those too. But now the mountains are just mountains, and the sea is just the sea. Back at the hotel, I saw my own painting, with many gathered in front of it, praising me in the most romantic language. Looking at the vibrant, lively version of myself in the mirror, I suddenly detached from this failed marriage. I want to be like a mountain, covered in fragrant grass and flowers, yet with the hardest stones, doing all I can for myself, and even what I cannot. The plane just landed. And my phone is flooded with missed calls and messages from Hueji. Answer the call. "Claire, what on earth are you up to? Come home and apologize now, and I might still forgive you. Where did I put the grey tie I wore to the last court hearing? Xiaoxia has a fever. What medicine do you usually give him? What do you mean by not answering your phone? Even if we're divorced, Xiaoxia is still your son, and legally, you're still his mother." The doctor said Xiaoxia's cough has been hard to shake since he was little. "What exactly did you do to help?" "Claire, I'm going crazy. Where are you?" After getting home, I sent a message, 3 bottles of water. Remember the first time I brewed this water for Ethan? He was so obedient then, taking spoonful after spoonful, and his cough gradually faded. The last time I made it for him, he scowled and knocked the bowl from my hand. Rachel said the teacher told her these are all folk remedies. "You're so stupid." The scalding soup spilled on my hand, but I just assumed he didn't know better and brought out another bowl. Biting back the pain, I tried to comfort her. "Xiaoxia, trust mommy. Drink this and your cough will go away," but she wouldn't hear it. Turning and running back to her room. I'm not drinking this garbage. I stood frozen, staring at her retreating figure, her stubbornness so much like Huaji's lately when he comes home from social events. When I brought him the hangover soup, reheated again and again, he coldly pushed my hand away. I don't drink this. I scrolled through the chat history online, a dense sea of green bubbles. Xiaoxia's first day at kindergarten. Do you have time to take him with me? I found really fresh shrimp at the market today. Want to come home for dinner? Still in a meeting. I'll bring you some food. No matter how busy work is, remember to rest, take the vitamins on the table. But in the last 2 years, Huaji's replies to me were fewer than the messages I'd sent in the past 2 months, let alone him reaching out first, the handful of times I did message. His call would come through within a minute. His voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't slept well in ages. Claire, you finally answered the phone. I'm juggling work and taking care of Xiaoxia. You need to come back and be with him. I set down my paintbrush, trying to stay calm. Or maybe I'm busy too. We're already divorced. If you need a nanny, hire another one. I have my own life. What could you possibly be busy with besides me and Xiaoxia? Don't tell me you're working, or, cutting me off impatiently, I suppressed my anger and spoke slowly. What I'm busy with is none of your business. And as for divorce, you're a divorce lawyer. You know what that word means, right? People divorce because they can't stand the sight of each other anymore, because they want no further ties. So stop bothering me. It's really annoying. I hung up and immediately blocked his number, but I didn't expect him to be so persistent. He kept calling me from different numbers. On the rare occasions I answered, I'd hear Ethan's reluctant voice. Mom, when are you coming back? I was in the middle of signing a contract and replied offhandedly, your dad and I are divorced. I'm not coming back. If you need something, talk to your dad first. Suddenly, Xiaoxia's voice brightened with excitement. Then can Rachel teacher be my mom? The phone was abruptly snatched away, and I heard his flustered voice. He's just a kid. Don't take what he says seriously. After a moment of silence, I spoke up coldly. Or maybe, when you named him Xiaoxia. That Xia was a homophone for Rachel, wasn't it? The other end of the line went so quiet I could hear his trembling breath before he whispered my name. Ethan is our child. Do you really have to dwell on these things? I smirked, feeling a bitter amusement, or maybe it's because I was the one forced to swallow my grievances. Not you. Every time I took the clothes from your hands and smelled another woman's perfume on you, I was the one who endured it. Every time I see women's items occasionally left on the passenger seat, it's me who holds back. Every time I hear the child I carried for 10 months complain about me due to others' instigation, it's still me who endures. That day, the cup I accidentally broke was a gift from Rachel to them, a set of 3. With the remaining one on his desk, I don't believe or understand the meaning behind Rachel giving those cups, so when both father and son turned against me, all my patience lost its meaning. The voice on the phone paused for 3 seconds before saying his lawsuit was almost over. I curled my lips sarcastically and asked, what, should I open champagne to celebrate for him, or are you sending me my brother's wedding invitation? Claire, how much longer are you going to keep this up? His tone was helpless, as if scolding me for being unreasonable. Without hesitation, I hung up and blocked him again. The painting in front of me only needed a final touch. Jason came to see me just as I was preparing dinner. He's my agent and childhood friend. When he walked in, he brought a bottle of champagne to celebrate my escape from misery. Honestly, a genius painter like you cooking for that scumbag. Even Honey shook her head. Years ago, the young painter who rose to fame only to fade into obscurity, Xia Lu, was me. Claire Xia Lu. I lay on the sofa with a pillow propped under my head. Who's Honey? The female dog I just adopted. What I mean is, no female creature in the world would approve. The air was silent until he cleared his throat and suddenly asked, what about the little ingrate from the Hua family? Are you still handling his school admission? Nasosly isn't just about money. They said you'd need to donate 2 paintings or a wooden box. His starting 1st grade in the second half of the year. For his education, I and Huaji have put in a lot of effort. Perhaps it's because of studying that we've come this far, so, we take Ethan's schooling more seriously than most parents. We had our eyes on this private school early on. But Huaji pulled many strings and still couldn't secure an admission spot. I couldn't bear to see her juggling work and worrying about Ethan, so I had Jason approach the school under the pretense of donating a painting. The principal made a request for Ethan's admission, and it went surprisingly smoothly. The principal, overjoyed, shook Jason's hand and promised that as long as he could get my painting, not just one wooden box, but 10 would be no problem, and just like that. Ethan's schooling was settled, but I didn't want Andrew to know about this, so I had the principal contact a teacher Huaji had previously approached. Because this admission spot was highly coveted in the circle, everyone who heard about it couldn't help but praise his generosity. Lawyers have wide connections. But what exactly did you say back then? Jason absent-mindedly scrolled through his phone and said, I told them I'd do my best. A swindler is always a swindler. Even when he only speaks 8 parts of the truth, people believe 12. Those 2 paintings. I'll sell them for you. All the auction proceeds will be donated to Hope Elementary. I won't let you use them to pave the way for that pair of scoundrels in the Hua family, wooden box or not, after all. He's the child I brought into this world at the cost of half my life, and I still care about his future. But now, I don't have any paintings suitable for the school, like all mothers. To take care of him and his father, I was on call at home 24/7. To the point where I didn't even have a chance to pick up a paintbrush. Thankfully, I can finally be myself again. At 4 in the morning, a piercing ringtone came from an unfamiliar number. I pressed the answer button, trying my best to stay awake. Hello, who is this? Sister-in-law. I'm Andrew's assistant. Andrew was drinking with clients until past 3 and just finished. I was about to take him home. But he said his stomach hurt too much to move. We're at Central Hospital now. Sister-in-law, could you come over? The assistant recited this script stiffly, stumbling a bit mid-sentence, sounding utterly unconvincing. Honestly, there's a reason he's been an assistant for so many years. Suppressing the urge to throw my phone, I lowered my voice. As far as I know, I'm not the emergency contact for the cargo value. What? It was probably half a year ago. Orji got into a minor car accident on the way to court. When I rushed to the hospital, a nurse led me to Orji's room. Seeing my panicked expression, she kindly reassured me. Miss Luo, Mr. Ning is fine. He was just unconscious when he arrived, so we contacted you. I paused mid-step, faintly hearing my own voice tremble. Where did you get my number? Orji's phone should be password locked. He refused to set up fingerprint or facial recognition. Thinking it was unsafe, the nurse smiled, as if used to such questions. Of course, it's the emergency contact, a number that can be called without unlocking the phone, the first person to reach in case of danger. In Orji's phone, it's Rachel. I only found out when his colleague called to inform me. That was the first time I felt something called disappointment toward Orji, but someone who lets you down once will never stop at just once. I lay back in bed, listening to the rustling sounds from the other end, now even more convinced there was a second person listening beside him. The fact that you could find my number proves even you knew Andrew's phone password. Something I never did. That alone shows I wasn't worth his trust, so you should find someone else. Just as I was about to hang up, he finally dropped the act and hurriedly grabbed the phone. Sounding aggrieved as he admitted, I drank too much again, and I'm not feeling well. Suddenly, I remembered the last hangover soup I made for him before the divorce. He said he didn't want it anymore, and there was Xiaoxia. Her cough had been on and off. I asked the housekeeper to boil 3 bottles of water, but Xiaoxia couldn't get used to it. Unable to suppress my anger, I cut him off. You're next to a hospital with doctors. Calling me is useless. It just disturbs my sleep. If our son can't get used to it, he'll have to learn to, because I'm never going back to make it for him again. Do you understand? I don't care what you're thinking right now, but I'm telling you, I did all those things in the past because I wanted to, not because I had to. The divorce was the result of careful consideration, and there's absolutely no chance of me changing my mind. Understood? Silence filled the other end. Just as I was about to hang up, he still refused to let go, his voice low, as if confused and slightly resentful. After all these years of feelings, can't you forgive me just this once? I laughed in anger, feeling oddly calmer. Forgiving someone for a mistake isn't about forgiving them once. It's about forgiving them every single time the memory comes back. If he had the decency to part ways with me openly, I might have respected him a little. But no, he had to drag it out. Playing the devoted lover, still trying to be the good guy in the end. News of my divorce with Andrew gradually spread, and many mutual friends came to persuade me. Some said I'd stuck with him through everything, only to hand it all over to someone else now that we had it all. Others insisted he must still have feelings for me. Otherwise, why would he go to such lengths to keep me? Just then, a message from a stranger came through on my phone. It was a photo, under dim lighting. Two people lay on a bed, their fingers tightly intertwined. Even without the pair of rings I had painstakingly chosen, I could recognize those distinctively knuckled hands. Along with Rachel's half-covered face, or perhaps she was asleep, Rachel was smiling. I casually posted the photo on my social media with the caption, "See, once the lawsuit is over, you can openly sleep together." I didn't block anyone from seeing that post. Within 3 minutes, the unknown number texted again. "Are you insane? Delete it now. If you dared to post it, why are you afraid of me sharing it? If even one person in the city hasn't seen this photo by tomorrow, it'll be my failure as an ex." Besides, Rachel wasn't even on my friends list, so how could she see my post? Or if she didn't confront me, it meant she knew his password. After scrolling through her feed, I turned off my phone, struck by sudden inspiration, and headed to my countryside studio, where I stayed for 3 whole months. One of the paintings sold for a 7-figure sum to an overseas collector, while 2 other sketches were taken by Jason, who insisted on donating them to that school. I frowned slightly. "What are you up to?" He leaned on the windowsill, propping his face in his hands. "You're a widowed single. I'm an unmarried single. Someone's got to take care of us in our old age, right? I'm sponsoring a girl, so of course I'd want her to get the best education before she looks after us. She'll definitely be better than your own flesh and blood." Widowed. Huh, I had no rebuttal. As for those 2 casual sketches, they don't really matter. Some people care more about who painted them rather than the paintings themselves, but I don't know. For me, those fleeting 3 months felt like an eternity for Rachel and the others. And everyone knew it. Some even divorced their spouse of 8 years for their first love, and people still found the story not dramatic enough, adding fuel to the fire by claiming it was all premeditated. They said some had planned this all along, just waiting for Rachel's divorce to be finalized before abandoning their original partner, even going so far as to have their own child eagerly call someone else mom. It wasn't just a drunken mistake as they claimed, but a calculated scheme, leaving me, the loyal wife, as the sole victim. His career was nearly ruined. Female clients refused to hire him, and male clients, under pressure from the women in their lives, didn't want to get involved. There are plenty of lawyers out there. If one doesn't work out, just switch. As for Rachel, it was even worse. She lost her job entirely. No parent would trust their child to a divorced homewrecker. In the parents' group chat, someone openly declared, "I don't mind if my child's grades are a bit worse, but if their character is rotten, I'll have nowhere left to cry." Exactly. If my kid turned out like that, I'd loudly shove them into a lidless box. Teachers are supposed to set an example. How can we trust them if their morals are rotten? It's like any random hack can become a teacher these days. We 90s kids might not like to meddle, but we're not dead. I thought this matter would end here. But Luo Xia should never have turned the tables and splashed the dirty water back on me. He wrote a little essay about his love story with Huiji and posted it on social media, explicitly naming me as the other woman. He claimed that I took advantage of his time abroad to create misunderstandings, leading to his breakup with Andrew, while I allegedly climbed my way up to become Mrs. Hua. The rumors grew wilder, and some extreme netizens even started digging into my private information. Even Jason called to warn me, if my identity gets exposed, the consequences could be serious. Claire, being labeled as the other woman is one thing, but the fallout can't be ignored. I've always wondered why Rachel, who advocates elite education, would grit her teeth to send Rachel abroad for further studies, only to settle for her becoming a kindergarten teacher. Now I understand. There are plenty of hopeless cases in this world. I gave Andrew a chance to clarify the situation. He said recording me couldn't be without consequences. Shia couldn't have a disgraced father, and Ethan couldn't have a disgraced mother. I almost forgot she had already chosen to replace her mother. So I had no choice but to shoulder the blame as the other woman. Deep down, I probably already guessed his answer, so I wasn't too surprised. I just sighed softly. Over misplaced devotion and the unpredictability of life, Jason tossed a pile of photos at me and stared at me for a long time. "Why are you crying?" I raised my hand to touch my cheek, feeling utterly dejected. Perhaps pitying and lamenting my past self, Jason patted my head and said, "Stop arguing with them. Can't we just sit down calmly and slap each other twice? Here, this is the weapon your sister gave you." She sent over a pile of invoices, photos of her living and eating together with Luoxia before our divorce, and a 57-page PDF documenting the timeline of my relationship with Huaji from dating to marriage, complete with interviews from all our classmates and friends, a precise counterattack to Rachel's petty essay. That afternoon, the hot search rankings underwent another major reshuffle. Adults love to swallow their pride for the so-called bigger picture, but it's all self-inflicted. When you named the child I nearly died giving birth to, were you thinking of your first love or the one in the emergency room? Damn the scumbags and the trash. I hope they rot. I dare curse the world, dare curse God. I blaspheme against Buddha and slander ancestors. I look down on everything under heaven, but I still can't muster the courage to slap a scumbag to death. The crappier the car, the more spare tires it has. What kind of reuniting with first love nonsense is this? Which law firm? Which kindergarten? Such crucial details. How am I supposed to avoid the landmines if you don't spell them out? How easy is it to ruin someone's efforts? Experts say it takes just one little affair story to undo a year's work for marriage and birth rates. Wishing the sister all the best. May she live vibrantly again. When I saw Huaji, it was at the gate of that private elementary school. He looked utterly disheveled, with unshaven stubble, bloodshot eyes, and a wrinkled, urined shirt hanging off him. Jason, unfortunately, had a fever and asked me to drop off the little girl he sponsored at school. Ethan stared nervously at the little girl I was holding hands with, his eyes full of hostility. "Why are Mom and Dad holding her hand? Didn't you say Mom would always only be my mom? She's the poorest kid in class. She doesn't even have parents," Rachel added. "Didn't Auntie say only little princes and princesses go to this school? Why is she here?" Huaji didn't speak, just looked at me. I crouched down and straightened Lily's clothes. "Lily, go ahead and attend class by yourself for now. I'll come pick you up in the evening." Before I could finish speaking, several figures hurried over at the school gate. Teacher Shia, I finally found you." It turned out to be the principal and others who, having learned I'd be coming today, had been waiting at the entrance, or perhaps suddenly realizing something, their eyes filled with utter disbelief. "The painter they mentioned is you. Shia still has to wait for an admission spot here because you suddenly went back on your word." I shrugged and denied it. I didn't go back on my word. I just changed the candidate to Ethan's most disliked classmate. "Mom, I don't even have a school to go to. Why are you helping someone else instead of me? Hurry up and tell them to let me in." "I'll still acknowledge you as my mom," I quietly observed Ethan. She was looking more and more like Andrew, even inheriting his habit of bossing me around as if it were second nature. He glared at me, his eyes brimming with blatant threat. Taking Lily's hand, I said expressionlessly, "You don't have to acknowledge me either." Or perhaps his face twisted in fury as he blocked my path. "He's just a child. How could you say such things to him?" I laughed. "A child? A 6-year-old child who slipped sleeping pills into his own mother's milk just so he could go out with his dad and his favorite teacher. If he hadn't accidentally grabbed effervescent tablets instead, I'd never have found out. Back then, he was so self-righteous. I wanted Rachel and Dad to take me out to play, and I didn't want Mom to come along." I slapped him hard across the face. It was the first time I'd ever hit him, and it hurt me more than it hurt him. After that, he completely distanced himself from me. Occasionally, I'd hear laughter from his room when he was on the phone with his teacher, Luo. More than once, while bringing him milk, I overheard him making wishes to the Santa Claus I'd given him. "Please let Rachel become my mom. I hate my current mom so much." Now that his wish has come true, somehow it's become my fault. The principal looked at me awkwardly and said, "If this is your child, then perhaps we don't need to proceed." I held Lily's hand as we walked into the school gate, reminding the security guard not to let any outsiders in. Behind me, only the sound of Ethan's wailing remained, but I no longer cared. Life moved forward steadily. Now, my life is more focused on painting. I often travel for inspiration. Venturing out into the world, the vastness of 6 million square kilometers and the surging waves of 3 million square kilometers are the canvas of shifting seasons, a symphony of ice and fire. I follow explorers over mountains and through valleys, deep into the heart of forests, riding the wind and waves into the azure unknown, chasing starlight, and diving back into the bustling human world, until I finally see the true face of this disheartened land. I once thought mountains and seas were insurmountable, that the stars were beyond reach, yet I never imagined that boats could cross the seas, paths could traverse mountains, and that the greatest barriers to overcome lie within the human heart. Now, the past and the so-called father-son bond can no longer affect me. Jason wants to hold an exhibition for my paintings, calling it a gift to the fans who've waited for me all these years. I agreed, or perhaps Ethan came along. They stood in the crowded crowd, or perhaps in the wooden box's hand, holding a small cake, afraid it might get bumped. He carefully cradled the box, and when he was still a few steps away from me, or Ethan shouted at me, his voice tinged with a touch of childlike innocence, "Mom, I made this cake myself. Dad and I came to celebrate with you." As if I hadn't heard, I took Lily's hand and walked onto the stage. In this art exhibition, a small section displayed Lily's paintings, childish brushstrokes, yet incredibly interesting. A child's boundless imagination is the rarest treasure. I praised his creativity and acknowledged his talent and effort, or perhaps his lips pressed into a tight line, his face showing emotions I couldn't decipher. Meanwhile, Huamushia's eyes were red as she glared at the person on stage, already in tears. As I passed the Hua father and son, my hand was tightly grabbed by Ethan, or perhaps Ethan cried out in accusation, "I'm so hurt, Mom. I'm your real child. Why won't you let me go on stage? Why won't you teach me to paint? Why won't you praise me?" I tried to pull my hand back with some force, or perhaps in a hurry, helping, or the wooden box grabbing my arm. "Don't be like this. Axia is your own flesh and blood. He needs your comfort now." My own flesh and blood, even if he is, it doesn't stop him from becoming an ungrateful wretch. Once, I was willing to sacrifice everything for this child. My career, my freedom, even myself. The first time he learned to call me Mom, I cried tears of joy. Every time he got hurt, my heart ached unbearably. If he wanted the stars in the sky, I'd have wished for wings to fly up and get them. But if parents truly love their child, they must plan for their long-term future. I set many rules for him, hoping he would develop good habits. Children are inevitably mischievous, but Ethan still kept my words in mind, until Rachel appeared in his life. Until he wished for Rachel to replace my role, he changed completely. Under the scorching summer sun, a roadside cleaner was drenched in sweat, or Ethan casually tossed a bottle on the roadside as if he didn't see the trash bin just a few meters away. I sternly demanded he pick it up. "I won't pick it up. Those beggars will fight over it anyway." "Who said they're beggars? They're just like us, surviving by their own hands." Ethan shoved me away roughly, his tone dripping with impatience. "No way. Teacher Rachel said as long as Dad has money, I'm different from other kids." "Mom, you're always so stingy. I don't want you as my mom anymore." At that moment, I realized, after 6 years of raising and disciplining him, half a year of Rachel's indulgence had undone it all. I gave them a cold glance. "Sorry. I don't have time. Let go, or I'll call the police." They were kicked out of the exhibition hall, and suddenly, rain began to fall. Or Ethan took off his jacket to cover the cake box in his hands, occasionally looking up at me with pitiful eyes. I walked past without a glance, a faint smile still on my face. Or Ethan took 2 steps forward, trying to call out to me, but his lips trembled, and no words came. When Ethan was pushed down the stairs by Rachel and hospitalized, I had just returned to the country. My phone flooded with missed calls from Andrew's father. He was an extremely humble farmer who, at our wedding. Had given me nearly all his savings. Back then, he handed me the money with trembling hands and said, "I don't have much to offer, but I hope my son treats you well." Out of some inexplicable guilt toward him, I went to the hospital, as if he despised me, or Ethan also detested this grandfather of his. Yet now he could only cling to the old man's leg, crying so hard he could barely catch his breath. When he saw me, his crying intensified. I went to find the doctor to understand the general situation. Orji's injuries weren't severe, but he seemed utterly uncooperative with the treatment. When I entered the ward, I saw Andrew's eyes flicker with a glimmer of light. He said with certainty, "I knew you wouldn't abandon me." I frowned slightly, suppressing my impatience. "Or do you think you're being particularly affectionate right now?" Or, with a face full of sincerity, he looked at me and said, "No, Claire. I'm just unwilling to let go of Rachel. That day was your birthday. I was setting up at home, wanting to surprise you, but then Rachel showed up, and we got into an argument." I scoffed, looking at him mockingly. "I haven't celebrated my birthday in 6 years, since having the child. I've become the most insignificant person in this family. What does a birthday even matter? Or perhaps you don't actually like me, you just feel a bit regretful about losing me." The person on the hospital bed shuddered violently, almost instinctively lowering his gaze. I ignored him and continued to expose his thoughts. "If you like strawberries, you'd buy them without hesitation. You don't like bananas as much, but you'd still buy them because they aid digestion. If you like something, you like it. You don't weigh the pros and cons." At first, he was just unaccustomed to life without my meticulous care. Later, he realized that perhaps I was more capable than Rachel, or maybe that so-called unwillingness in his heart was satisfied the moment Rachel agreed to be with him. It's like picking up shells on the beach. When you find one you think is better, you discard the one in your hand without hesitation. But when you realize the new shell isn't as good as the old one, you want to pick it back up. But we are people, not shells. In the end, you still care about the sunset glow. I've already said I don't like him anymore. Can we just let this matter go? Why do you keep bringing up the past? Oh, he asked me why I keep bringing up the past. I looked at him quietly, enunciating each word clearly. Because this issue has never been properly resolved. You hide your selfishness and expect me to be magnanimous, pretending to be oblivious to brush off my grievances. Maybe you don't absolutely need me, you just think I'll soften, that I'll waver, and that's why you're trying to disgust me or pull me back. But in the end, you stumbled off the bed in pain from your wounds. This was the second time I saw him cry. The first was on the day he broke up with Rachel. Back then, I held my heart out, mending it for her, afraid she wouldn't move on. Now, seeing her cry again, I feel nothing. She begged me through tears, "Record this. Give me another chance. We have a child. We have a happy family. Don't give up on me and our child so easily." "Okay, no, not at all. Save yourself some dignity. Worth it." Behind me came the sound of heart-wrenching sobs and fists pounding the ground. I resolutely closed the door, knowing there was no turning back. An umbrella offered after the rain has stopped is nothing but a burden to me. By the time I heard the news about Ethan, he had already taken him back to their hometown. I heard Ethan had changed his name. Now he's called Ethan. But no matter what is called, it has nothing to do with me anymore. I'll continue to pay child support on time, fulfilling every obligation. But I won't love him the way I used to. Occasionally, I'd see updates about Ethan. How he consistently ranked first in his class. One day, out of the blue, I received a call from Ethan. He asked, "Mom, if I get first place many times, will you come back?" Meanwhile, 5-year-old Lulu was stuffing her outgrown clothes into a bag, preparing to donate them to those in need. I gently reminded her, "Sweetheart, wait for mommy to help you pack." "Okay." There was a brief silence on the other end of the phone, followed by a hesitant voice saying, "Claire, you've remarried." Only then did I realize the call hadn't ended. "Yes, my child is 5 now. Is there anything else?" The call was abruptly hung up. I knew then that he and his father would never trouble me again. Lulu is Jason's child, who calls me godmother, but I didn't feel the need to explain further. From that moment on, like birds and fish on separate paths, our lives would never cross again. Not long after, Jason returned with the materials for my postgraduate studies abroad, his eyes red with anger. He shoved me and said, "At this age, you still want to study abroad? Wouldn't it be better to help me take care of the kids?" I laughed and hugged him. He's my favorite teacher. Besides, it's been 10 years since he last took on a graduate student. You should congratulate me. Without his emotional support all these years, life would have been incredibly tough. His favoritism added layers of filters to me, turning a not-so-great version of myself into a decent one. All right, let's wish for our teacher to break free from constraints and roam freely between heaven and earth. Okay, I nodded firmly. The road ahead must be lined with blossoms, one tree after another, and I will eventually stand tall in the spring rain of Junling Mountain. The end. Now let me tell you the second story. Samantha stood outside the law firm, holding the divorce agreement she had just signed. 3 years of marriage ended just like that. Ms. Xie, are you sure you want to leave the house with nothing? According to the prenuptial agreement, you can get 5% of the shares of Wu Group, the lawyer confirmed again. No need. Samantha shook his head, his voice so calm that even he felt unfamiliar. I don't want anything. Walking out of the law firm, the autumn wind was bleak, and he couldn't help but tighten his windbreaker. 3 years ago, in order to save his father's company, he agreed to marry the Wu family. On the day he married William, he thought he would be happy, but reality is always cruel. William only has his white moonlight Megan in his heart, and he, Samantha, is just a substitute. Last night, he saw with his own eyes William hugging Megan, and the two kissed each other. "Samantha, I'm sorry, I never loved you." Wu Fengcheng's words were still echoing in her ears. She didn't cry or make a fuss, but just said calmly, "Let's get a divorce." The phone rang. It was Henriette's call. "Samantha, are you really going to divorce William? Do you know what this means?" Henriette's voice was anxious. "I know, right." Samantha looked into the distance. "But I don't want to wrong myself anymore. However, the company's debts have not been paid off. If I lose the support of the Wu family, I will find a way." Samantha interrupted her father and hung up the phone. He walked aimlessly on the street. Suddenly, a strange phone call came in. "Is this Miss Samantha?" A low and steady male voice came from the other end of the phone. "I am lawyer James from Hungjing Law Firm. I have questions about the inheritance of your grandmother, Mrs. Xie, and I hope to meet with you, Grandma." Samantha was stunned, and the fingers holding the phone froze for a moment. His grandmother died of illness when he was 10 years old. Since then, no one in the family has mentioned his name again. There are even only 1 or 2 photos of his grandmother in the album, which are yellowed and blurry. And the impression has long been blurred and almost disappeared. "Are you sure you didn't call the wrong number?" he asked hesitantly, with uncontrollable confusion and vigilance in his tone. "I'm sure." Lawyer James' voice is still calm and professional. "Mrs. Xie made a special will before her death, which clearly stipulated that only after you turn 25 and experience major changes in your life, can you officially inherit everything he left for you." Samantha was shocked and looked down at the calendar. Today was his 25th birthday, and the divorce procedure that had just been completed this morning was the truest interpretation of a major change. "Is it convenient for you to come to the office now? The documents need to be signed in person." An hour later, he sat in the spacious and bright meeting room of the firm, with a thick stack of documents in front of him. The fragrance of tea filled the air, but he felt that the air had frozen. "This is a list of all the assets under the name of your grandmother, Mrs. Xie, when she was alive." Lawyer James gently pushed his glasses and turned the document to the first page. His tone was steady, but it could not be ignored, including 3 Class A office buildings in the city center, 2 high-end villas, and all the shares of a private investment company called Ammonia Investment. How is this possible? Samantha looked at the densely packed asset details on the document in disbelief. Her eyes widened, as if she saw a string of absurd fictional novel plots. The grandmother in his memory was just the kind old lady who lived in the narrow alleys of the old city, made soy milk every morning and took him to school. The house was an old bungalow with worn-out furniture, but she could always bring out hot meals from the kitchen like magic. He never thought that such an ordinary and inconspicuous woman could hide such a huge wealth. Lawyer James spoke slowly. As if revealing a secret that had been sealed for many years, Mrs. Xie moved here with her family from Hong Kong when she was young. He was born into a prominent business family in Hong Kong at that time, and his father was an industrialist. During the war, he came here with meager funds, started a small clothing business on his own, and then gradually got involved in real estate investment, and finally founded Anha Investment. He has always been very low-key and rarely appeared in public. So why didn't he tell us? He wrote in his will that wealth can only have meaning in the hands of the right people. He hopes that you will take over this legacy after experiencing their ups and downs in person, so that you are capable and qualified to let him continue to play a role. Samantha's hands trembled slightly as she gently picked up the yellowed will. On the paper was a line of beautiful but firm and powerful handwriting. Samantha, if you see this letter, it means that you have learned to face life independently. Money is just a tool. What really matters is your firm heart and the direction of your choice. I hope you can use this legacy to live a life that truly belongs to you. At that moment, his eyes were wet, not because of the money, nor because of the shock brought by wealth, but because in this world, there are people who have paved a way for him long ago, waiting for her to walk over after she becomes stronger. He is not alone. And he has never been truly abandoned. Miss Xie, do you need time to consider? Lawyer James asked. No need. He took a deep breath. His eyes were as clear as water, but his voice was firmer than ever. I accept this legacy. The moment he walked out of the law firm, the city's evening breeze blew across his face. As the sky darkened and the neon lights came on, he stood quietly on the busy sidewalk, as if he had not yet completely recovered from the sudden reversal of fate. In the morning, she was still an abandoned woman who was abandoned by her husband and family and left home with nothing. In the afternoon, she became an independent woman with assets of over 100 million and holding shares in an investment company. Life, he murmured, and a self-deprecating and determined smile rose unconsciously at the corners of his mouth. Sometimes it is indeed more bizarre than novels, but he knew that this was just the beginning. He still had a long way to learn. He had to shoulder not only the inheritance, but also the trust and future of a family. He turned around and took the first step firmly in the direction he had never thought of. He took out his cell phone and saw a message from William, saying that the marriage formalities had been completed. Just a few simple words. Without any reluctance, Samantha replied indifferently. Then, William sent another message, saying that Mohan and I will announce our relationship tomorrow. And I hope you don't mind. Don't mind. Samantha smiled bitterly. What else could he remember now? He directly deleted William's contact information and blocked him. From today on, he would start a new life, and the first thing he would do was to move out of the Wu family's villa. William stood in front of the French window of the villa, watching Samantha dragging her suitcase away, and suddenly a trace of indescribable emotion surged in his heart. Brother Fengcheng, what are you thinking about? Megan hugged his waist from behind, her voice tender. Nothing. Wu Fengcheng retracted his gaze, turned around and pulled Megan into his arms, just thinking that they could finally be together openly. Megan stood on tiptoe and kissed him on the lips. It was all my fault. I made you suffer. Silly. I'm glad you're back. William stroked her cheek gently. I've thought about you every day for the past 3 years. What about Samantha? After all, you are husband and wife. And 3 years is just a contract, William said without hesitation. I never had real feelings for him. Megan smiled with satisfaction, but a subtle gleam flashed in her eyes. Meanwhile, Samantha has moved into the villa her grandmother left her. This villa is located in the most prosperous area of the city, with elegant decoration, and every piece of furniture is valuable. What surprised him even more was that there was a special study room in the villa, which was filled with various business management books. Obviously, her grandmother had planned everything for her. She picked up a book on investment principles and just opened the first page when the doorbell rang. When she opened the door, she saw a middle-aged woman in a business suit. Ms. Xie, I am Sophie, your grandmother's assistant. From today on, I will assist you in handling inheritance-related matters. The appearance of Sophie made Samantha feel relieved. Faced with the sudden arrival of huge wealth, he really needed the help of professionals. Sister Su, can you tell me about the current situation first? Of course. Sophie took out a detailed document. The investment company under the name of Mrs. Sierra is called Well No. 39 on her investment. Well No. 39 is mainly engaged in angel investment and venture capital. It currently manages funds of 5 billion per year and its rate of return remains at around 15%. Xie took a breath of cold air. With a fund scale of 5 billion, it is definitely a medium-sized fund company in the investment industry. The daily operation of the company is handled by a team of professional managers, and you only need to participate in major decisions, Sophie continued. However, Mrs. Xie specifically stated in her will that she hopes you can learn investment knowledge in person and truly understand this industry. I understand, Samantha nodded. Grandma hoped that she would not just be a rich second generation, but a truly capable investor. By the way, there is a project roadshow tomorrow morning. It is a new energy vehicle company seeking microwheel financing. Do you want to participate? I will go. Samantha said without hesitation. Since we want to learn, we should start with practice. The next morning, Samantha appeared in the conference room of Her Investment. This was his first time to participate in a roadshow as an investor. The entrepreneur who came in was a young man wearing a simple shirt and jeans, but his eyes were firm. Dear investors, I am Zachary, the founder of Shin-chan Energy, and today I will introduce our project to you. Zachary's speech was very contagious. From technical principles to market prospects, every detail was well prepared. Samantha listened very carefully and took notes from time to time. What are your core technical barriers? Samantha asked the first question. We have a patent for a battery management system developed independently, which can increase the battery life by 30% and reduce costs by 15%, Zachary answered confidently. What about competitors? What if Tesla or BYD also develops similar technology? This is our window of opportunity. Zachary's eyes flickered, and we must quickly occupy the market before they react. After the 1-hour roadshow, the investment team began internal discussions. This project is very risky. The new energy vehicle industry is highly competitive, and they are just a startup team. A senior investment manager questioned it. But the technology is indeed innovative, and the founder is very passionate. Another investment manager disagreed, and everyone looked at Samantha, waiting for his decision. Samantha pondered for a moment, then said, I am optimistic about this project and will invest 10 million. There was silence in the conference room, and no one expected the new boss to be so decisive. Samantha, are you sure? This amount is beyond our usual investment range. I am sure. Samantha's voice is firm. Sometimes investment is not just about projects, but also about people. I believe Zachary can successfully leave the company. Samantha's mood is very complicated. He has just made the first major investment decision in his life. 10 million is an astronomical figure for many people. But I don't know why he is very calm in his heart. Maybe this is what Grandma said, use this inheritance to live the life you want. The phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Samantha, it's me, William. Samantha frowned. How do you have my new number? I asked someone to check it. William's voice was a little hurried. Can we meet? I have something to tell you. There is nothing more to say between us. Pause. I know what happened last night hurt you. But we are husband and wife after all. 3 years ago, husband and wife. Samantha corrected William coldly. We have divorced. You should concentrate on being with your husband now. After Megan finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly. In the office of the president of Wu Group, William sat in his office chair with a gloomy face. Secretary Li Ming knocked on the door and came in. Mr. Wu, the investigation results you wanted are out. Samantha went to 2 law firms yesterday afternoon. The first one handled the divorce procedures, and the second one seemed to deal with some inheritance issues. Inheritance. Wu Fengcheng Zhongmei Xie family is now heavily in debt. Where did the inheritance come from? Did you find out what the inheritance is? The other party did a good job of keeping it secret, and our people could not find any specific information. Li Ming was a little embarrassed, but it was said that the amount involved was not small. William pondered. Could it be that Samantha really has some hidden background? Keep checking. I want to know everything about her current situation. After Leeming stepped down, William picked up his phone and dialed a number. "Grandpa, it's me. What happened to Feng Cheng? From your tone, it seems like something is wrong." Grandpa Wu's voice came from the phone. "Samantha and I are divorced." There was silence on the other end of the phone for a long time. "You have only been married for 3 years. Why do you want to divorce? There is no love between us. It is not good for anyone to be together forcibly," William explained. "There is no love, Mr. Wu raised his voice a few notes. "That girl has been so good to you in the past 3 years. Don't you know it, Grandpa? You can't force feelings, Mr. Wu said angrily. "I think you are bewitched by Megan. Grandpa, don't call him. Don't mention that woman to me, Mr. Wu hung up the phone directly. William put down his phone, feeling irritable. At this moment, the office door was pushed open, and Megan walked in wearing a pink dress. "Brother Fengcheng, why do you look unhappy?" He walked behind William and gently massaged his temples. "It was nothing, just work." William enjoyed his tenderness. "Was it because of Samantha's matter?" Megan asked tentatively. "It has nothing to do with him." William pulled Megan over and let him sit on his lap. "My heart and eyes are full of you now." Megan smiled sweetly. But there was a trace of calculation in her eyes. "Brother Fengcheng, I heard that Samantha moved away." She moved away yesterday. Is it unsafe for him to live alone? Do you want us to help him find a safer place?" Megan deliberately acted very kind and asked him not to solve his own problems. William didn't care at all, and with his character, he would not accept our help. Megan nodded, but was thinking about something in his heart. On the other side, Samantha was learning investment knowledge in the office of Anha Investment. Sophie prepared a lot of professional books and case studies for her. "The most important thing in investment is judgment and intuition," Sophie said. "Your decision today is very bold. I just think that Zachary is very sincere." Samantha put down the book in her hand. "And his technology is indeed innovative." Mrs. Xie was the same when she was alive. She always had a keen eye for gems and discovered those potential projects. Sophia's eyes were full of nostalgia. "You are very much like her. I really want to know about my grandmother's life," Samantha said. "Mrs. Xie is a legendary figure." Sophie began to recall that when he was 18 years old, he came here with his family from Hong Kong. At that time, he only had a few hundred yuan, but he had vision and dared to fight and take risks. How did he make his fortune? He started with the clothing business, then turned to real estate, and then started investing. Every step was in line with the times, Sophie said, but he is the most powerful of the 10 people, and every entrepreneur he invested in later became a leader in the industry. Samantha listened attentively. "And it turned out that her grandmother was such an amazing woman. Why did Grandma wait until now to let me inherit the estate?" He said that only after experiencing the lows of life can you truly understand the meaning of money. Sophie looked at Samantha. She hoped that you would become a wise investor, not a rich second generation who only knows how to spend money. This made Samantha think deeply. If she had not experienced the betrayal of marriage, she might never understand what independence and strength are. In the afternoon, Samantha received a call from Zachary. "Samantha, thank you for your trust. I will never let you down." Zachary's voice was very excited. "Do a good job. I believe in you," Samantha said with a smile. After hanging up the phone, he suddenly thought of something and asked Sophie, "Has our company invested in Wu Group?" Sophie looked through the information and found that no, Mrs. Xie had clearly stated that Wu Group was not within our investment scope. "Why, I don't know the specific reason. He just said that the boy from the Wu family was not a good person." Sophie answered truthfully. Samantha was stunned for a moment. Grandma had seen through William Cheng's nature a long time ago. If she had known about the existence of Grandma earlier, would there not have been 3 years of aggrieved marriage? But it's too late to say anything now. The important thing is to look forward. In the evening, Samantha returned to the villa and found a familiar car parked at the door. William was waiting for him by the car. "How did you know I lived here?" Samantha frowned and asked someone to check. William looked at the luxurious villa in front of him and was shocked. "Samantha, this villa is yours. What does it have to do with you?" Samantha said coldly. "Samantha, can we talk about it?" William walked towards him and said, "As for our marriage, we are divorced and there is nothing to talk about." Samantha turned to leave. Wait. William grabbed his arm. I admit it was my fault before, but we have been in love for 3 years after all. Love. Samantha turned around, eyes full of sarcasm. William, have you ever had feelings for me? William opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. You only have Megan in your heart. It's been me from the beginning to the end. To you, I'm just a tool to maintain the family marriage. Samantha's voice was very calm, but every word stabbed William's heart like a knife. No, Samantha, listen to my explanation. No explanation is needed. Samantha broke free from his hand. Windless City. It's over between us. You have your white moonlight, and I want to start my new life. William looked at Samantha's resolute back, and suddenly he felt an unprecedented panic in his heart. Samantha used to get angry, but she was never so cold. He had changed. And he felt strange and even a little uneasy. Back home, Megan was busy in the kitchen. Brother Feng-cheng, you are back. Come and try the soup I made. He walked towards him with a bowl of soup, with a sweet smile on his face. William absent-mindedly took a sip of the soup, his mind still thinking about what Samantha had just said. What's wrong? Is the soup not tasty? Megan noticed his absent-mindedness and it was not very tasty. William forced a smile. Did you go to find Samantha? Megan asked tentatively. William was silent for a while and nodded. Megan's face suddenly became a little ugly. Brother Feng-cheng, you are already divorced. Why do you still go to him? I just want to explain something to him. Explain what? Megan's voice rose a few degrees. Do you regret the divorce? Mohan, don't think too much. William pulled him into his arms and said, you are the one I love, from the beginning to the end. But when he said this, he felt a little lacking in confidence. On the other side, Samantha was looking at investment cases in the study. The information left by his grandmother was very detailed, and each investment project had a complete analysis report. The more he read, the more he admired his grandmother's vision. Most of these projects had achieved good returns, and some even achieved dozens of times the return. Just as she was absorbed in watching, her cell phone rang. It was her father Henry calling. Samantha, where are you now? Henry's voice was anxious. What happened at home, Dad? I just received a call from the bank saying that someone wants to pay off all our company's debts in one go. Henry's voice was trembling. Did William have a change of heart? Samantha was stunned for a moment, then realized that it must have been arranged by Sophie. Dad, it's not William, it's me. You. Henry couldn't believe it. Wan Ting, where did you get so much money? It's a long story. Dad, do you have time tomorrow? I want to talk to you in detail. Yes. Of course I have time. After hanging up the phone, Samantha felt complicated. Her father's company was finally saved. The next morning, Henry came to Samantha's villa, seeing this luxurious house. He was completely stunned. Samantha, is this your house? Yes, Dad, sit down. I will tell you slowly. Samantha told her father in detail about her grandmother's inheritance. After listening, Henry was speechless for a long time. Your grandmother actually left so much property. Yes. And she specifically mentioned in her will that she hoped I could help you through the difficulties. Samantha said that I had asked someone to deal with the company's debts. So you don't have to worry about Ran Ting. Henry's eyes were red. It was Dad who was useless and made you suffer so much. Dad, don't mention the past anymore. Samantha held her father's hand and said, now we have to look forward. What about your company? Can I help you in any way? Not for now. I am learning. I will consider letting you participate when I have mastered it completely. Henry nodded, his face full of pride. His daughter has grown up and has become so independent and capable. In the afternoon, Samantha went to the company to attend the regular investment meeting, where Sophie reported the latest investment progress. Good news came from Shin-chan New Energy. Their technology has passed the certification of relevant national departments, and 2 automobile manufacturers have expressed their intention to cooperate. So fast, Samantha was a little surprised. Zachary is indeed a talent with strong execution ability. Sophie smiled and said that according to this progress, our investment may get a return ahead of schedule. Samantha was very satisfied. The success of his first investment gave him great confidence. Are there any other projects you would recommend? He asked. There is an artificial intelligence project whose founder is a returned overseas doctor and whose technology is very advanced. Sophie took out a document. However, the investment amount they require is relatively large, requiring 30 million. This is beyond the company's usual single investment amount. Can I meet this founder? Of course, I will arrange it right away. An hour later, a young man wearing glasses walked into the conference room. Hello, investors. I am Chris, the founder of Jinao Technology. Chris's speech was very professional, and every link from technical principles to business models was carefully considered. Our artificial intelligence system has made breakthrough progress in medical diagnosis. With an accuracy rate of 985%, exceeding the level of most human doctors. What is the market prospect? Samantha asked. According to our research, the domestic medical submarket alone will reach a scale of 100 billion in the next 5 years, Chris answered confidently. What about competitors? There are indeed some mature products abroad, but our technology is more suitable for the physical characteristics of the Chinese people. And the cost is lower. After some communication, Samantha was very interested in this project. But the investment amount of 30 million is indeed not small. Dr. Chen, can you give us some time to consider? Of course, but our financing window is only 1 month, and I hope to get a reply as soon as possible. After Chris left, the investment team began to discuss the project, which had great risks and benefits. An investment manager said that if it succeeded, the return could be dozens of times. But if it failed, the loss would also be heavy. The key lies in the ability of the founder. Another investment manager added that Chris is indeed very capable, but the team is still relatively weak. Everyone looked at Samantha and said, "My opinion is to invest," Samantha said, "but it is not a one-time investment of 30 million, but a phased investment. First investing 10 million, and then additional investment after they reach certain milestones. This is a good suggestion." Sophie nodded in agreement, which can both support the development of the project and control risks. At this moment, Samantha's cell phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. "Hello, is this Miss Samantha? I'm a reporter from Financial Weekly. I want to interview you about her investment." Samantha frowned. "Our company has always been very low-key and does not accept media interviews. It's like this. Someone broke the news to us that you obtained a huge amount of wealth through improper means. We want to give you a chance to clarify." Improper means. Samantha's voice turned cold. "Who broke the news? This involves the protection of the source of information. I can't disclose it." Samantha hung up the phone directly. He had a hunch that someone must be behind this matter. Megan sat in a coffee shop, facing a middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap. "Reporter Wang, how is the matter going?" Megan asked in a low voice. "We have contacted Samantha, but he refused to be interviewed." Reporter Wang replied, "But it doesn't matter, we can report it unilaterally. Are you sure we can find dirt on him?" "Don't worry about that, we have a special investigation team." Reporter Wang said proudly, "As long as we give us enough time, we will find any handle on anyone." Megan nodded with satisfaction. "Remember, I want to completely discredit him and make him unable to raise his head in the business world." "Got it, don't worry, Ms. Lin." Megan gave reporter Wang an envelope with money in it. "This is the deposit. There will be double the amount after the deal is done." Reporter Wang accepted the envelope with greed in his eyes. On the other hand, Samantha was considering whether to take the initiative. He asked Sophie to check the background of Financial Weekly and found that it was a tabloid that mainly dug up business scandals. "Samantha, I suggest that we take the initiative to contact some mainstream media and publish positive reports." Sophie suggested that instead of responding passively, it is better to take the initiative. "Good idea," Samantha agreed. "You contact Business Observer and Investment Times. I can accept their exclusive interviews." At this time, William called again. "Samantha, I heard that the media is investigating you. You have to be careful. Does this matter have anything to do with you?" Samantha asked directly. "Of course not." William's voice was a little hurried. "How could I hurt you?" "Then you don't need to worry about it." Samantha was ready to hang up the phone and wait. William hurriedly said, "Samantha, if you need help, I can go to Windless City. You figure out your identity, Samantha said coldly. We have divorced, you don't need to care about my affairs. After hanging up the phone, Samantha suddenly thought of something. How did William know that the media was investigating him, unless he picked up the phone and dialed a number? Sister Sue, can you help me check if Megan has any abnormal behavior recently? Okay, I will arrange someone to check it out right away. The next afternoon, Sophie got the results of the investigation. Megan met with Wang Xiaojun, a reporter from Financial Weekly, at a cafe in the city center yesterday afternoon. It was indeed him. Samantha's anger was instantly ignited. Megan wanted to kill him. Do we have evidence? There are photos and recordings. Sophie took out a recording pen. Our people used professional equipment. In the recording, the conversation between Megan and reporter Wang was clearly audible. Very good, Samantha sneered. Since he wants to play, then I will play with him. What are you going to do? Give him a taste of his own medicine. Samantha's eyes flashed with coldness. Sister Sue, please help me contact the editor-in-chief of Metropolis Daily. Metropolis Daily is the newspaper with the largest circulation in the city, and its influence far exceeds that of Financial Weekly. That evening, Charles, the editor-in-chief of Metropolitan newspaper, came to Samantha's villa as scheduled. As night fell, the lights in the villa were soft, reflecting the calm and quiet atmosphere in the hall. Samantha opened the door herself and smiled politely. Editor-in-chief Chen, welcome Samantha. I have heard of you for a long time. Charles was in his early 50s, wearing a dark grey suit, with his hair combed meticulously in elegant manners. Although he was a little older, his calmness revealed the sharpness unique to media people. Editor-in-chief Chen, you are so polite. Please come in. The two sat down, and the servant quickly brought hot tea with a lingering aroma. Samantha didn't beat around the bush and got straight to the point. I hope to cooperate with your newspaper on an exclusive report. Charles pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses and became interested. What exactly was it about? It was about someone maliciously manipulating the media to discredit business people. His tone was steady, but sharp, and I was the target of the attack. As he spoke, he took out a silver recorder from his handbag, placed it on the coffee table, and pressed the play button. In the recording, the transaction conversation between Megan and a reporter was clearly played out, from proposing a smear plan, to the money transaction, to the harsh words that Samantha would not be able to hold her head up in the business world. Every word was left unanswered. After the playback ended, there was a brief silence on the coffee table. Charles slowly picked up the teacup, took a sip, and then put the cup down, his eyes no longer able to conceal the excitement. Samantha, this is explosive news, he sighed in a low voice. We have been paying attention to the issue of media ethics, but there is little evidence, and this recording is solid evidence. Samantha's eyes were calm. I don't need you to stand on my side, and I don't want to use the media for revenge. I just hope that the truth will be made public, so that the public will know how the so-called black material was designed. Charles nodded, looking serious. I understand. Don't worry, Samantha, we will report the news truthfully and keep the news impartial. Thank you for your help. Xie Ranting stood up and nodded slightly. It is an honor for our media to cooperate with you. Charles stood up and shook hands with him solemnly. After sending Charles away, Samantha stood at the door, watching the taillights of the car going away in the night, and let out a long breath. Feeling relieved, Megan wanted to use the media to drive him into a quagmire, but ended up falling into the trap herself. He sneered, thinking that being too clever would backfire, and he would not let the other party easily get over this. At the same time, the situation in the Wu family villa was tense. Mohan, why did you go to the reporter to investigate? Samantha. William stood in the middle of the living room, holding the news he had just received in his hand, his face gloomy. Megan sat on the sofa, head down, fingers tightly twisted the corner of her clothes. I just want to vent your anger. He dumped you like that, and then moved in with a high profile, ignoring me. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. William laughed in anger. What did he do to me? He just left a marriage that was never cherished. I let him down, not him letting me down. Megan was stunned. Tears welled up in her eyes instantly. Brother William, do you still love him? William opened his mouth but didn't say anything. He didn't know how to answer. If he said he didn't love her, why did he feel so flustered when he found out that he was being attacked by the media? But if he said he still loved her, how could he have chosen Meghan without hesitation 3 years ago? I know I was wrong. Meghan rushed forward and hugged him, tears streaming down her face. I was really too afraid of losing you. You don't know I worry every day that you will return to him. I'm sorry, I just love you too much. He cried with tears in his eyes, his voice trembling, but there was a hint of observation and temptation in his eyes. William looked at the woman in front of him whom he had taken care of in every possible way, and his heart was complicated. He finally sighed and gently held her in his arms. Mosho, I won't leave you. But you must promise me that you are not allowed to provoke Samantha again. I promise you. Meghan lay on his shoulder. Her voice was gentle and well-behaved, but when he lowered his head, a sinister cold light flashed in his eyes. Samantha, do you think you can rest assured after winning a public opinion war? You are too naive. He has not lost yet. He will never let himself lose, and he will never let Samantha go. The next morning, the Metropolitan Daily published a blockbuster report, revealing how some people used the media to maliciously slander businesswomen. The report detailed the whole process of Meghan buying off reporters to maliciously slander Samantha, and also released audio evidence. As soon as the article came out, it immediately caused a sensation. Netizens condemned Meghan's despicable behavior and expressed sympathy and support for Samantha. This Meghan is so vicious that she actually paid for reporters. The black Samantha is the victim. And she did nothing wrong. Supporting strong women like Samantha requires our support. Seeing the comments on the internet, Samantha was in a good mood. Justice may be late, but it will never be absent. After Meghan saw the report, he was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that his plan not only failed, but also got himself involved. After William saw the report, he was so angry that he smashed the cup. Meghan, what did you do? Facing William's anger, Meghan could only tremble. This time he really got into big trouble. The stock price of Wu Group began to fall. As William's public girlfriend, Meghan's scandal directly affected the image of Wu Group. The board of directors held an emergency meeting and Feng Cheng said, "You must give us an explanation." A director said angrily, "Meghan's matter has affected the company's stock price. I will handle it." William's face looked very ugly. How to deal with it? Now everyone in the city knows what kind of person he is. Another director pointed to the newspaper and said, "Look at these comments. They are all scolding our Wu Group. In my opinion, you should break off relations with him immediately." The oldest director spoke, "Otherwise the entire company will be dragged down by him." William was silent for a long time, and finally said, "I need time to think about it. What else do you need to consider?" The directors were very dissatisfied. Feng Cheng said, "Don't ruin the entire Wu Group because of your children's love affair." After the meeting, William sat alone in the office in a daze. He didn't expect things to develop to this point. Meghan's behavior was indeed too much. But he couldn't abandon him immediately. After all, he had hurt Samantha for him. If he abandoned Meghan now, he would become a complete scumbag. When he was struggling, the phone rang. It was Meghan calling. "Brother Feng Cheng, I'm so scared." Meghan's voice was trembling. "There are reporters chasing me everywhere now. I dare not go out. You stay at home first. I will come to pick you up." "No, I don't want to cause you trouble," Meghan cried and said, "I know the company's stock price has fallen because of me. It's all my fault." Hearing him say this, William softened his heart. "Mohan, don't think about it. I'll be there right away." On the other side, Samantha was being interviewed by Business Observer. "Samantha, can you tell me what you think about this incident?" the reporter asked. "I think this is a good lesson," Samantha said calmly. "He told us to compete openly in the business world, instead of using dirty tricks." "What do you think of Meghan's behavior?" "I don't want to judge anyone, but I believe that justice is in the heart." Samantha's answer was very appropriate. "I would rather focus on my career than these boring right and wrongs." "I heard that you have invested in several promising projects recently. Can you reveal some details?" "Of course." Samantha began to introduce the business of her investment. "We focus on the field of technological innovation and hope to support entrepreneurs with dreams." After the release of this interview, Samantha's image was further improved, and netizens praised her professionalism and vision. This is a real strong woman, who has both ability and vision, much better than some people who only play tricks. Support Samantha and look forward to her investing in more good projects. Seeing the positive comments online, Sophie was very happy. Samantha, your crisis public relations was very successful. This is not crisis public relations. Samantha shook her head. I just told the truth. At this time, Chris called and said, Samantha, I saw the report about your interview. You are really great. Chris' voice was very excited. Our team admires your courage and thank you for your trust. Samantha asked, how is the project going? It is going very smoothly. We have signed trial agreements with 3 hospitals. If the test results are good, they will officially purchase it. Our system is so good. Is there anything we can support? Not yet. We will steadily advance according to the agreed milestones. After hanging up the phone, Samantha was in a good mood. His investment vision was verified, which gave him great confidence. In the evening, he was about to go home, but he met William downstairs in the company. Samantha, can we talk? William looked haggard, and there was nothing to talk about between us. Samantha walked around him and was about to leave. Wait. William stopped him. About Mohan. I apologize to you. Is it useful for you to apologize to me? Samantha sneered. William is your girlfriend. She wants to discredit me, not you. Why are you apologizing? I will let her apologize to you. No need. Samantha looked at him, her eyes full of disappointment. William, do you know what I am most disappointed about? William was silent. I am disappointed that you are still protecting him even though you know he did something wrong. Samantha's voice was very calm, but every word was as sharp as a knife, which means that in your heart, he is always more important than anyone else, including right and wrong. No, Samantha. Forget it. William and Samantha waved their hands. We are already people from 2 different worlds. Don't bother anymore. After that, he left without looking back. William stood there and watched his receding back, feeling mixed emotions. Samantha was right. She had indeed been protecting Megan. Even if he had done something wrong, but was it out of love, or was it out of guilt? He himself couldn't figure it out. Back home, Megan was curled up on the sofa watching TV. When he saw William coming back, he immediately stood up and said, Brother Feng Cheng, you're back. William's attitude was very cold. Are you still angry with me? Megan asked Mohan cautiously. Go apologize to Samantha. What did William say? Megan couldn't believe it. You want me to apologize to that woman? You should apologize if you did something wrong. But I have to do this for you. Megan's tears flowed down. Brother Feng Cheng, you can't do this to me. William was upset when he saw Megan crying. Enough. Mohan, when will you grow up? This was the first time he got so angry at him. Do you know that your behavior has affected the company? Megan was stunned by his anger. Is this still the gentle William he knew? Brother Feng Cheng, you have changed. He choked and said, You never got angry with me before because you had never done such an extreme thing before. William's emotions completely exploded. Yes. Do you know how much Samantha has done for our family? He saved my grandfather's life. He helped our family through the financial crisis. He never asked for anything in return. But what did you do? You tried every way to hurt him as soon as you came back. Wang Mohan was dumbfounded when he heard these words. He never knew that Samantha had done so many things for the Wu family. In his impression, Samantha was just a vase. I don't know, he murmured to himself. You don't know. Or you don't want to know. William looked at him, his eyes full of disappointment. Shia, I suddenly feel like I don't know you anymore. The next day, the share price of Wu Group continued to fall, and the board of directors held an emergency meeting again. The lockdown was getting worse and worse. Chairman Stephen slammed the table, and you must make a decision immediately. Dad, I know. William's face was very ugly. So what are you waiting for? Stephen said angrily. Are you going to destroy the entire Wu Group for a woman? At this moment, Secretary Li Ming rushed in and said, Mr. Wu, something bad has happened. Her investment company has issued an announcement. What announcement? They said they want to acquire our company's shares. Li Ming's face was very pale. Moreover, they have already acquired 5% of the shares. There was silence in the conference room, and everyone was shocked by the news. Anha Investment wants to acquire Wu Group. Where do they get so much money? Stephen couldn't believe it. It is said that the scale of Anha Investment's funds exceeds 5 billion. Li Ming replied. William's face turned pale in an instant, and he suddenly understood why Samantha lived in such a luxurious villa. It turned out that he had such a strong financial support behind Fengcheng. What's going on? Stephen looked at his son Samantha. How could it be related to Anha Investment? I don't know either. William's voice trembled a little. Meanwhile, Samantha was holding an acquisition strategy meeting in the conference room of Anha Investment. We have already acquired 5% of Wu Group's shares, Sophie Hui reported. At this pace, we can acquire 15% within a month. Very good. Samantha nodded and continued to acquire. But we must pay attention to the pace and not attract the attention of the regulatory authorities. Samantha, do you really want to acquire Wu Group? An investment manager asked. The fundamentals of this company are actually good, but is it too emotional to do so? Samantha looked at him and said calmly, this is not emotional, this is a business decision. The current share price of Wu Group is undervalued, it is a good time to acquire. But Samantha's tone was firm. We are an investment company, pursuing maximum profit, emotional factors are not within our consideration. After the meeting, Sophie stayed alone. Samantha, did you really acquire Wu Group for business reasons? Samantha was silent for a while, then said, Sister Su, what kind of person do you think William is? From a business perspective, he has good ability, but he is easily emotional. Sophie answered truthfully. From a character perspective, I don't know much about him. He is a person who lacks responsibility. Samantha said that such a person is not worthy of controlling a large enterprise. Sophie understood that Samantha's acquisition was indeed motivated by personal grudges, but from a business perspective, this decision was also reasonable. Wu Group's stock price fell due to the scandal, which was a good opportunity to buy at the bottom. In the afternoon, William came to Anha Investment Company in person. I want to see Samantha. He said to the front desk, do you have an appointment? The receptionist was very polite and said no, but I am William, the president of Wu Group. The receptionist made a phone call and said, I am sorry, Samantha is very busy now and has no time to see you, so I will wait for him. William insisted, Sir, please don't affect our normal work. William waited in the lobby for 2 hours before Samantha showed up. What do you want to do? Samantha looked at him without any warmth in her eyes. Samantha, let's talk. What is there to talk about? Regarding the acquisition, William's voice was a little hoarse. Why do you want to acquire the Wu Group? This is a business behavior, and I don't need to explain it to you. Samantha, are you taking revenge on me? Samantha sneered. William, you think too highly of yourself. Do you think everything I do is because of you? Why? Because you are not worthy of controlling the Wu Group. Samantha looked him straight in the eyes. You are an irresponsible person. You are not worthy of being a leader. These words pierced William's heart like a knife. Samantha, I know I hurt you, but the Wu Group is the hard work of my father, so you should protect him well, instead of putting him in crisis for a woman. Samantha interrupted him. William, do you know that the whole business world is laughing at you now? William was speechless. How can a man who can't even manage his girlfriend manage a company? Samantha's words were heart-piercing. How can a man who can't even tell right from wrong make the right business decisions? William was speechless. So the Wu Group needs a new leader, Samantha continued, and I am the most suitable candidate for you. You want to be the chairman of the Wu Group. Why not? Samantha's eyes flashed with confidence. I have the funds, ability, and courage, which is much better than you who can only make mistakes because of women. William felt an unprecedented sense of frustration. The Samantha in front of him was completely different from the gentle and submissive wife 3 years ago. She became strong, aggressive, and unfamiliar to him. Samantha, you have changed, he murmured to himself. Yes, I have changed. Samantha admitted that I no longer compromise, no longer swallow my anger, and no longer put anyone's feelings before my own. You make me feel strange, and it's right to be strange. Samantha turned to leave. William, you will never understand me again. Looking at his resolute back, William suddenly had the urge to retain him, but he could not say it because he knew that everything was irreversible. Back at the company, William called together the core management team. The situation is urgent now. We must find a way to stop Anhe Investment's acquisition. Mr. Wu, Anhe Investment has strong financial resources and it is difficult for us to stop it, an executive said. Then find a way to increase the stock price, but Meghan's scandal is still fermenting, and it is difficult for the stock price to recover. Hearing Meghan's name, William's face became even uglier. If it weren't for him, how could Wu Group fall into the current predicament, just when he was worried? Meghan called, Fengcheng brother, I have decided. Meghan's voice was very calm. What decision? I will go to apologize to Samantha and leave. William was stunned. Mohan, what did you say? I know I have caused you a lot of trouble, so I decided to leave and go abroad, Meghan cried and said, so that you will not be affected by me anymore. Mohan, don't think too much. Brother Fengchen, I really love you, so I don't want to be a burden to you. Meghan's voice was very firm. Please forget me and protect the Wu Group well. After that, he hung up the phone. William rushed home, but it was too late. Meghan had packed her luggage and left, leaving only an envelope. Brother Cheng, thank you for your gratitude during this period. I know I am not a good woman and have caused you a lot of trouble. Now I am leaving. I hope you can forgive me and hope you can be happy. If there is an afterlife, I must be a better person to love you. Looking at this letter, William's mood was very complicated. He didn't know whether he should feel relieved or lost. Meghan's departure gradually calmed the negative news about Wu Group, however. Anhe Investment's acquisition activities did not stop. 1 month later, Samantha had become the second largest shareholder of Wu Group, holding 18% of the shares. The board of directors of Wu Group held another meeting, and this time Samantha attended as a shareholder representative. When he walked into the meeting room, everyone was stunned. He was wearing a black business suit, his hair was tied into an exquisite bun, and his gestures revealed a strong aura. Is this still the gentle and obedient daughter-in-law of the Wu family? Dear directors, I am Samantha, the chairman of Anhe Investment. He introduced himself calmly. Starting from today, I will participate in corporate governance as a shareholder of Wu Group. Stephen's face was gloomy. Samantha, what do you mean? My meaning is very simple. Samantha sat down. Wu Group needs change, and I have the ability to lead this company to a better future. You are an outsider, why do you interfere? A sensible person said dissatisfiedly, because I am the second largest shareholder. Samantha's answer was concise and powerful. According to the company law, I have the right to participate in the company's major decisions. William looked at Samantha sitting opposite him with mixed feelings. He had become so strong and so confident, and was no longer the little woman who needed his protection. Samantha, what do you want? William couldn't help asking. What I want is very simple. Samantha watched him re-elect the board of directors and reformulate the company's strategy. You want to kick me out? If you are not capable of being the president, then you should let someone more capable do it. The atmosphere in the conference room instantly became tense. Stephen slammed the table and stood up. Samantha, don't go too far. Where did I go too far? Samantha was not in a hurry. I was just thinking about the interests of all shareholders. Everyone has seen the performance of the Wu Group in recent years. If it continues like this, it will go bankrupt sooner or later. These words made the father and son of the Wu family speechless. It is true that the development of the Wu Group in recent years has not been ideal, and the net profit has been declining continuously. So do you have any better plan? Stephen asked unconvinced. Of course. Samantha took out a detailed corporate restructuring plan. I suggest that Wu Group enter the fields of new energy and artificial intelligence, which is the future development trend. New energy and artificial intelligence are not exclusive to China coal. These fields require huge investments and are very risky. High risks often mean high returns. Samantha said lightly, and I have already made arrangements in these fields and have successful experience. He briefly introduced the investment cases of Xinkai New Energy and Jinao Technology. Both projects have begun to make profits. The directors listened carefully, and some of them were already interested. Samantha's plan was indeed very forward-looking. An independent director said that it was worth our serious consideration, but it would require a large amount of capital investment. Another director said worriedly that funds were not a problem. Samantha confidently said that her investment could provide financial support, provided that Wu Group accepted our restructuring plan. William's face became more and more ugly. He realized that Samantha was going to completely sideline him. "Samantha, what's the benefit for you by doing this?" he asked. "Of course there are benefits." Samantha looked at him. "If the restructuring is successful, the value of Wu Group will double. As a shareholder, I will certainly benefit. Is it just for money?" "Isn't that enough?" Samantha asked William. "Don't think it's so complicated. It's just a business deal." Hearing him say it was just a business deal, William felt an indescribable sense of loss. In his eyes, was everything between them, including their 3-year marriage, just a business deal? The meeting finally voted to agree to the restructuring plan proposed by Samantha. Although William was unwilling, he could not stop it. After all, Samantha was now the second largest shareholder. And his plan was indeed convincing. After the meeting, William stopped Samantha alone. "Samantha, can we talk in private? Let's talk about it here if you have anything to say." Samantha didn't give him face. "Do you really have no feelings for me at all?" William's voice trembled a little. "What do you think?" Samantha sneered. "William, you destroyed everything between us with your own hands. Now you ask me if I have any feelings. I know I was wrong, but what are we after all?" Samantha interrupted him. "After all, we were once husband and wife. So what? You chose Megan and you should bear the consequences of your choice. But Mohan has left. That was his choice and it has nothing to do with me." Samantha turned to leave. "William, from now on, we are just partners. Don't say those meaningless words anymore." Looking at his resolute back, William suddenly realized that he might really have lost him forever. Back home, William sat in the living room in a daze. The huge house was terribly quiet, making him feel more lonely than ever before. When Samantha was here, the house was always warm. She would prepare delicious dinners for him, bring him a cup of hot tea when he worked late, and quietly accompany him when he was in a bad mood. But now there was nothing. He picked up the phone and wanted to call Samantha, but she hung up halfway through dialing the number. There was really nothing to say between them. At the same time, Samantha was discussing the reorganization plan of Wu Group with Sophie at home. William was very unwilling to accept today's performance. Sophie said, "I am worried that she will find a way to obstruct the reorganization, and he can't obstruct it. Samantha is very confident that the initiative is in our hands now, and other shareholders of Wu Group also support the reorganization. So what should we do next?" "Execute according to the plan," Samantha said. "Let's start with the new energy project. I want everyone to see that my decision is correct. What if William doesn't cooperate? Then let him step down." Samantha's tone was very calm. "We don't lack talents. We can find a more suitable person to be the president." Hearing him say this, Sophie couldn't help but sigh. Samantha has really changed. She has become more decisive and cold than before. Maybe this is the price of growth. The next day, Wu Group officially announced its restructuring plan. As soon as the news came out, it immediately aroused a warm response from the market. Wu Group was going to enter the new energy industry, which was a wise decision. Samantha was really insightful, and the projects he invested in were all very successful. "I hope that Wu Group's transformation may create new miracles." The stock price began to rise, and investors' confidence gradually recovered. Seeing the positive reaction of the market, the directors of Wu Group were very happy. Only William had mixed feelings. He should be happy. After all, the company's stock price rose, but he knew that all the credit belonged to Xianran, and he was just a puppet. Just when he was depressed, Secretary Li Ming walked in. "Mr. Wu, there is good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" "Let's talk about the bad news first." Miss Megan called from abroad and said that she encountered difficulties there and hoped that you could help her. Megan frowned. "What difficulties?" He didn't say specifically, but just said it was urgent. William pondered for a while. "What about the good news? Zachary from Shin-chan New Energy wanted to cooperate with us, and he took the initiative to contact us." "What?" William was a little surprised. Wasn't he from Anha Investments Company? "Yes, But he said he was willing to establish a strategic partnership with the Wu Group. William suddenly understood something. This must have been arranged by Samantha. He was using practical actions to prove that he had the ability to bring more opportunities to the Wu Group. At the board meeting a week later, Xiao Muhon made a decision that shocked everyone. I decided to resign as president. He said calmly that Wu Group needed a more capable leader. There was silence in the meeting room. No one thought that William would resign on his own initiative. Feng Cheng, are you sure? Stephen looked at his son in disbelief. I am sure. William looked at Samantha. I recommend Samantha to be the new president. Everyone was shocked by the proposal. Letting the ex-wife be the president of the company is absolutely unheard of in the business world. William, are you crazy? Stephen said angrily. I am not crazy. William's voice was calm. I am just making the best decision for the company. He turned to the other directors. You all have seen that under Samantha's leadership, the company's stock price has rebounded and market confidence has been restored. He is more suitable to lead the Wu Group than I am. But he is an outsider after all, a director said hesitantly. He is the second largest shareholder, not an outsider, William corrected. Moreover, he has funds, resources, and capabilities, which I don't have. Samantha looked at William with mixed feelings. He didn't expect that he would take the initiative to give up the position of president. This was his goal in his plan, but he originally thought it would take longer. I need to think about it. Samantha said, don't think about it. William stood up and said, starting tomorrow, I will cooperate with you to complete the transfer of power. After that, he left the meeting room. Samantha looked at his back. And an indescribable emotion surged in her heart. Although William had many shortcomings, at this moment, he showed the responsibility that a man should have. After the meeting, the directors expressed their support for Samantha to be the president. After all, he had proved his ability. That night, Samantha received a call from William. Samantha, thank you. His voice was calm. What are you thanking me for? Thank you for saving the Wu Group. William said that without you, the company might really go bankrupt. This is just a business behavior. Samantha's voice was still cold. I know. William smiled bitterly, but I still want to thank you. After a moment of silence, William said, Samantha, I'm going abroad. What? Samantha was a little surprised. Mohan encountered difficulties abroad and I'm going to help him solve them. William explained, and I think I also need a change of environment. Do you mean you want to give up the Wu Group? Not giving up, but handing it over to a more suitable person. William's voice was firm. Samantha, I'm relieved that the Wu Group is in your hands. Samantha was in a complicated mood, as she didn't expect William to make such a decision. Have you thought about it? They have, William said. I know I'm not a good husband, nor a good CEO, but I hope I can at least be a responsible man. William and Samantha wanted to say something, but they swallowed it back. Samantha, I know I hurt you and I'm not qualified to ask for your forgiveness. William's voice was trembling, but I want you to know that losing you is the thing I regret most in my life. Hearing this, Samantha's eyes were a little wet, but he quickly controlled his emotions. William, let the past be the past, he said. I hope you can find your happiness abroad, and I also hope you can be happy, William said. Samantha, you deserve the best love. After hanging up the phone, Samantha sat in front of the window in a daze. The 3-year marriage was completely over. He should feel relieved, but why did he still feel a little empty inside? Maybe this was the price of letting go. The next day, William officially completed the resignation procedures, and Samantha became the new president of Wu Group. After the news came out, the entire business community was shocked. It was incredible that Samantha became the president of Wu Group, from stepfather to female president. This is simply a legend in the business world. I look forward to him leading Wu Group to create new glory. Facing the media interview, Samantha was very calm. I will do my best to revitalize Wu Group. He said that this is not only a commitment to shareholders, but also a challenge to myself. Do you have anything to say to your ex-husband William? The reporter asked. Mr. Wu is a capable person. I believe he will find his own success on the new path. Samantha's answer was very decent. As for our personal relationship, it is already a thing of the past. That afternoon, William left the country. At the airport, he sent Samantha his last message. Samantha, take care of yourself. If one day you are willing to forgive me, I hope I will be a better person by then. After seeing this message, Samantha did not reply for a long time, and finally deleted William's contact information. From then on, they were two people on parallel lines, and they would never meet again. Half a year later, under Samantha's leadership, Wu Group was completely renewed. The new energy project progressed smoothly. The artificial intelligence project also began to make profits, and the company's stock price doubled compared to before the acquisition, with a record high market value. Samantha stood in front of the French window in the president's office, looking at the bustling city night scene, in a good mood. He proved with practical actions that women can also make a name for themselves in the business world. Samantha, someone wants to see you. Secretary Xiao Zhong knocked on the door and came in. It was a man named Zachary, who said that the founder of Xingqi New Energy asked him to come in. Zachary walked into the office with an excited smile on his face. Samantha, good news, our battery technology has obtained international patent certification. And there are already European car manufacturers who want to cooperate. That's great. Samantha was also very happy, which means that we can enter the international market. Yes, and as our strategic partner, Wu Group will also benefit from it, Zachary said. Samantha, thank you very much for your investment. You're welcome. I am the result of your own efforts, Samantha said modestly. By the way, there is another piece of news. Zachary hesitated. I heard that Mr. William also opened a technology company abroad, and it is developing well. Samantha's expression didn't change when she heard William's name. Right, that's good, he said calmly. After saying goodbye to Zachary, Samantha continued to deal with the documents. His life was very fulfilling now. He had endless work to do every day, but he enjoyed it. This was the life he wanted, independent and fulfilled. When Samantha got home in the evening, he found an unexpected person sitting in the living room. Grandpa, he said in surprise. Grandpa Wu stood up with a kind smile on his face. Samantha, girl, Grandpa is here to see you. Why are you here? Samantha quickly helped him sit down. Are you okay? I'm fine, I just miss you. Grandpa Wu took his hand. Girl, you've lost weight. I'm fine. Grandpa, Samantha's eyes were a little moist. In the 3 years in the Wu family, only Grandpa Wu treated her well. I heard that you are now the president of Wu Group, Grandpa Wu asked. Yes, you are doing very well. Grandpa Wu nodded in approval. He is much better than that brat. Hearing him mention William, Samantha's expression was a little complicated. Grandpa, is he okay abroad? He is okay, but his mind is still not clear. Grandpa Wu shook his head. He is still busy for Megan. Samantha was silent, her fingers unconsciously touching the edge of the teacup. Girl, Grandpa wants to ask you a question from the heart. Grandpa Wu sat on the sofa, looking unusually serious. If that brat comes back, will you forgive him? Samantha lowered her eyes slightly, and after a long while she slowly shook her head. Grandpa, this question is meaningless. His tone was calm, but it revealed an unshakable firmness. We are already divorced. He chose Megan, and he has made a decision. Grandpa Wu frowned and wanted to say something. But what if there is no if? Samantha interrupted him gently. Her tone was not heavy, but like a sharp knife, directly cutting off the warmth of the past. Some things, once missed, are missed, and feelings are not something that can be turned back at any time. The old man looked at his cold and firm face, his throat moved, and finally said nothing, but sighed heavily. This girl really let it go. So do you have someone you like now? He changed the topic to something lighter. Not yet, Samantha smiled faintly. I just want to do my career well now, and I'll talk about other things later. Silly child. Grandpa Wu patted the back of his hand and said earnestly, no matter how big your career is, don't forget to keep a place in your heart for love. You are still young and should give yourself a chance to start over. I know that. Grandpa Samantha nodded, his eyes softened, and said, if there is a suitable person, I will not reject it. The old man stayed at his house for 2 days and held his hand before leaving, as kind and solemn as always. Girl, no matter what happens between you and that brat, in Grandpa's heart, you will always be my granddaughter-in-law. Samantha's nose felt sore and her eyes were moistened instantly. Grandpa remembered Mr. Wu and patted him on the shoulder. "If anyone bullies you in the future, tell Grandpa and he will support you." He nodded and his voice choked with sobs. After seeing off Mr. Wu, Samantha stood at the door and watched the car drive away. She couldn't calm down for a long time. Among the people in the Wu family, only the old man truly treated him as a family member, and that never changed. He will always remember this feeling in his heart. At this moment, the phone rang, and an unfamiliar international caller number popped up on the screen. He hesitated for a moment, but still picked up the phone. "Samantha, it's me." The voice on the other end of the phone was familiar and long lost. "William." Samantha was slightly startled. "How do you have my number?" "My grandfather gave it to me." William's voice was low and a little tired. "I have something to tell you." His tone was calm. "Mohan has passed away." This sentence was like a bolt from the blue. What the hell? Samantha could hardly believe her ears. He had cancer, and it was already in the late stage when he was discovered. William's voice was calm but with a sadness that was hard to conceal. "The doctor said he didn't last long, and before he left, he asked me to tell you that he wanted to apologize to you." Samantha was silent. Although Megan had been the fuse for the breakdown of his marriage, she couldn't help but feel a surge of complicated emotions when she heard the news of his death. "He said he had done a lot of wrong things and hoped you could forgive him." William's voice was a little hoarse, and he said, "Those injuries should not have fallen on you. Thank you for telling me." Samantha's voice was low and without any emotion. He paused for a few seconds. "I want to go back to my country, then come back." Samantha replied lightly, "After all, this is your home." There was silence for a moment on the other end of the phone. And then he asked softly, "Can we still be friends?" Samantha was silent for a long time before slowly speaking. "Windless City, we can't go back to the past," he said slowly. "If you want, we can be strangers." "Strangers?" William smiled softly. Even if there was bitterness in his smile, it was better than being enemies. After hanging up the phone, Samantha sat on the sofa and looked at the gradually sinking sky outside the window, and was speechless for a long time. Megan left, and William was coming back. But all this had nothing to do with him. He had his own life, career, and future. And the past pain and love should sink to the bottom of the river of memory with the passage of time, and there was no need to salvage them. A month later, William really returned home. Samantha did not go to see him, but occasionally saw him in the news. "I heard that she took over a branch of Wu Group again and started from scratch." He was working. He was much thinner in the picture, and his eyes were less sharp than before, but more calm and tired. He had experienced loss and finally grew up. But that was no longer something he cared about. His life was completely different. Under his leadership, Wu Group entered a new track, and she was also named the most influential female entrepreneur of the year by a financial magazine. More importantly, he finally found his true self, the confident, firm, independent Samantha who no longer depended on anyone. That was enough, standing on the rooftop of the company, watching the sunset. Immersed in the gaps between the high-rise buildings in the distance, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Life is like this, losing some and gaining some. The important thing is to never give up on yourself, and he has become what he wants to be the most. This is the best ending." Well, that's all for today's story. If you like this video, please subscribe. We will continue to update more exciting stories and look forward to seeing you next time. That's the end of today's story. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. We will keep updating with more exciting stories and look forward to meeting you again next time.